everyone, it's Jake, Nadia, this is Stoney, and this is Buddy Boy, and our Bible Miracle is downstairs. And today we're going to talk about the first episode of Loki for season 2, which we've been really excited about.
You've been very excited about.
I have been very excited about, and when I knew the release date, Thursday was a long time to wait. So hopefully by now you've seen the first episode, and we just want to give our first impressions as well as let's make some predictions.
You're definitely the biggest Loki fan I know.
Yes. So I honestly feel like the last Thor movie went downhill because Loki wasn't there. He's kind of like the character that keeps it all together. Not to mention that the actor, I think, he really portrays Loki in a way where you feel sympathetic for him and want to root for him and don't want his story to end. So it seemed very smart for Marvel to create a TV show about him, but also gives it more complexity because now we can actually focus on his arc alone. Spoiler for season 1 is that Loki kind of fell in love with himself, female version of himself, Sylvie. I won't go into what happened first season, but where we left off in the first season was that Sylvie ends up killing He Who Remains, who is
Kang.
Gave Loki and Sylvie an option to kind of take over his role or kill him, and then one of his versions from the multiverse will win the war that has previously happened. That person will take over, so it's kind of like he'll be reborn with his other self. Loki, the one we know, wanted kind of to take more time to see if this is true, but Sylvie, because she was taken away from her family very young and she's kind of kept running. And this whole time, what's kept her going is that she is going to avenge her struggles by just killing that person who controls TVA. So Kang is it, and she kills him out of vengeance. So what we find is that because Sylvie kicks Loki out, when Loki gets back, he finds that the timeline has been messed with. It's not good. He kind of sees that there was an order to things that is now filled with chaos because of Sylvie's action. At the same time, he loves Sylvie, and he finds Mobius, and Mobius doesn't recognize him because, as we find out in this episode, spoiler, that he's in the past.
There's a lot going on, and I was very confused because it's been a while since we saw the first season. They did a recap, but still I was kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. And it's good to kind of get up to date with the first season because everything's moving really fast right away at the start of the second season, which I actually really liked. There wasn't much hand-holding. It was just kind of like, all right, we're continuing the story. One downside that I don't love about Loki and that I don't love about the Marvel TV shows in general so far is that they do feel like extended movies, like 4-hour movies that have been chopped up into pieces. This episode had more of an arc, but it still feels like I'm just getting little 15-minute bites, 30-minute bites of a longer feature film. It's always unsatisfying when we get to the end of an episode. You're always going, oh, that was it? Because these episodes are really short. And
I do feel that way about this episode.
I will say I really enjoyed this episode. I thought Ki-Wai Kwong was a great addition. And I just like seeing those actors. I like seeing Owen Wilson interact with Tom Hiddleston. I just think that there's good chemistry and the story is interesting. I like the way it's shot, very sort of retro. It has a distinct style when most Marvel things don't. I'm excited to see where the story is going. Kang as an opponent, what do you think of Kang? Because I personally thought he's been downgraded ever since Ant-Man because he was defeated by a bunch of ants and he's not very intimidating anymore. But this show manages to make him sort of an intimidating opponent, at least I think.
Yeah, I mean, in Ant-Man, we saw like a version of himself that possibly was going to eventually take over. So it's like an arc that I'm sure other Marvel movies, shows in this phase of Marvel will explore further. He wasn't really in this episode very much, so there's not really much to say about him.
No, just the image, the statues, everything. There's just
I don't really have too much to say about that, just because it's exactly where it left off, and then there was nothing forward as it comes to his character. In a sense, we're kind of just guessing at this point of what happened.
At this point, I'm just done with Marvel in the sense of I don't really care until they give us like a good movie where things seem to come together, because right now it just feels like everything's branching off into a million directions. And it's like, all right, when does this all come together? It feels like we're at our furthest point from where these stories need to be. And so how are they going to rein it in?
I completely disagree.
I am excited for Fantastic Four. I will say
I
that.
am completely disagree. I don't really care about Fantastic Four. I'll watch it. Maybe I'll care about it after we watch it. But I loved.
I just want something to come together.
I was really looking forward to the show, and this show did not disappoint me at all. The thing that's interesting about it is that I'm kind of guessing here because it's the first episode, and so we are trying to see how timeline actually works at TVA, because before they thought, I think it's called time morph, I forget the exact phasing they use, but it was impossible for there to be like a real past because time works differently there. But now we see it's different, and then Loki, he morphs into like different phases of timeline: past, present, and future. And at the end, Mobius has to go out. Loki has to be pruned so that he can actually exist in only the present timeline. And then we also see in the past that there has been interactions with Loki before, and people in TVA such as Mobius, his memories have been wiped. Then we see QI, who's in Everything Everywhere All at Once. He kind of has this manual that he talks about of the TVA that he wrote at the end. And so you kind of wonder if he's the one whose memory wasn't wiped, just because he worked closely with the clock analog. I forget her name. She's the animation there who works with He Who Remains. He kind of understands how the system works, how the whole operation works. So it'll be interesting to see like if he's the only one whose memory wasn't wiped.
Well, and I really love that scene where they're talking to him, and Loki is just going back and forth in time. And then he's like, oh, I do have this thing that I remember him telling me to make a long time ago.
Yeah,
exactly, I like stuff that plays with time.
And I think that shows that his memory, QI is the only character whose memory wasn't wiped, because Loki had interaction with several characters, but yet he was the only one who was able to recall his past interaction with Loki. So it'll be really interesting if he's the catalyst to like solving the whole puzzle, or how that actually plays in. But he's a great actor, so
I will say
really
I'm really excited for the rest of the season. I thought the first one was really fun. I want to watch it all in sequence because it feels kind of like,
I don't like waiting every Thursday. I think this is like something you can really binge at.
Well, the episodes are too short, and it is like chopping.
No, I love that it's short. I just want it. I just can't wait to watch everything together.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm really excited about this show, how it's going. I would rate it 9 out of 10, straightforward.
Wow.
To be honest, I'm a big Loki fan. So I'm interested and I'm invested, and even though I wish they would release all the episodes together, or at least more than one episodes, 2 episodes, I will definitely be watching it every Thursday or Friday morning, Friday after work.
I will give it a 7 out of 10.
Not bad for you.
Yeah, it's good. But it's also, the stuff that I don't like, which is just kind of the dialogue is just very exposition heavy and kind of hammy and not always great, and it's a blunt, fun show. It's not.
I like it.
And that's good. It doesn't need to be super smart or anything. It's just like a good. My favorite part are the relationships. And the relationship between Mobius and Loki is my favorite part.
Yeah, not to mention that Loki really goes somewhere with his character in the show that he's never gone. He was very limited with being a side character to Thor. So there's really infinite possibility. And the fact that like Loki is the god of mischief really makes it a fun show. Oh, one more thing I think will be really interesting the next few episodes to see, or maybe just the next, to see Sylvie work at McDonald's. Big brand.
I don't care about that.
But it will be really interesting. I saw the preview of it, and she looked like, when you're not happy with your life and you run into an ex. You're like, oh God, this is embarrassing that they're seeing me like this. That's what it looked like in the preview, and I'm really excited to see how that unravels. So yeah, let us know what you think. Otherwise,
yeah,
we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.